Actually, let's speak about the Armageddon, because I think this is another important discussion.
Yes.
It's so interesting to see the styles of choices as well. I think Magnus went very low against you, then he didn't for the second Armageddon, didn't go too low against you, and you actually went lower in the second Armageddon. Why did you do that? I felt like, given the match situation, that you would want to have white once again.
You know, I wasn't sure because I thought maybe I was starting to exhaust my opening ideas a bit.
Okay.
And yeah, I wasn't sure what he would go for. He was starting to get a bit more solid with his openings, like he was starting to actually play his main stuff. So going for e45 probably to get a marshal. So I wasn't thinking that I would be super confident to play him in the marshal or anything.
But you won 2 games with white, right?
I won.
Did you win 2 games? No, you drew the first 2 games and then you won with white.
Well, yeah, I was winning in 2 games in the second match.
Yes, second match.
Yeah. No, in the same line. I mean, I played him twice in the same line. It was a very successful choice for me. But yeah, Armageddon is tough. I thought that I would be okay with black. Like, I didn't want to get black with like very little time, but I thought...
I think you were okay, yeah. Just like at some point, probably exhaustion, brain freeze, I don't know.
Yeah, I rushed some decisions and was also not seeing things. So it was just my form. Like, the opening was good, and my form in that game, actually both Armageddon games, yeah, my form was not there.
Yeah.
But again, it's about the choices of how many minutes what would you say is the sweet spot in terms of...
I mean, in general, I think pretty much everyone agrees within 9 to 10 minutes, like this was most of the beats. But first of all, well, I mean, for me, it was not very successful in Armageddons. Clearly, there's something I hadn't worked on, like how to play with time advantage, and it's becoming a bit integrant, or time disadvantage if you're black. And so, because for a while it was just a random thing that was happening, and like it very rarely had sporting incidents, although once it did have a lot for me in this World Cup semifinals. But
was this against Levon? Or
it was against Levon, yeah. But first of all, it was 5 against 4, and by this point, every bets are off. Like it's 3 weeks competition already. It's 6 or 7 hours of the tiebreak. I mean,
this is just pure nerves and tiredness at this point.
I would say even pure luck, basically. Like it just luck, because I had a great position. Comes down to one move. It's not even nerves at this point. Like you're in automatic mode. But here it's becoming integrant. So we need to devise a strategy and how to play in this format, like to take it more seriously than before. At least that's what I think I should do.
Would you implement that in your training, like playing with time advantage? I think we did that at some point in one of the training camps. I think Norway was coming along, and
we did.
We were looking at some stuff and playing like 10 against 7 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think you can really replicate it because it's also so much nerves.
Yeah.
And when you don't have the nerves, it's just whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think it's only about the nerves. I think I was playing way too fast in these Armageddon games.
But do you think this is also a product of nerves, perhaps?
I mean, it's product of my play. In general, I play very fast. Should it be in classical, in rapid? I mean, it has evolved. At some point, it was really even more obvious. Not to the extent of, say, Jan in classical, who can be crazy, but it was still pretty obvious that I would generally go to time control with at least 15-20 minutes left, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, that's quite a lot.
Yeah.
I very rarely achieved that.
Yeah, and then there's Sasha, who always ends up in type trouble.
Would you say that's a product of your confidence?
That's a product of my playing strategy, basically. So, like, I look forward to having the time advantage. I think it's a good thing to have. And as long as it's not at all costs, at the cost of overlooking things in the positions, which did happen to me sometimes, did happen to Jan even more frequently, because he was doing it even a bit more extremely. Like, he calmed down, like, recently, but like...
You had a famous game against him.
Yeah.
Where, by like move 10 with white, he had lost a piece.
I mean, it's not. It's maybe move 15.
In classical?
Yeah, in classical.
In Singfield Cup.
In Singfield Cup.
And he
And
was
like,
leading the tournament,
no,
right?
he was playing his preparation, and it just ends by force in a draw. At some point, he plays one very random move, but this one just loses by force. Like, it's not a piece, but it's a huge pawn, let's say.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
And he had 1 hour 30 on the clock. And I remember as I played my move, I see him looking over in the restroom, I mean, where you have the screens. And he just is shocked and stays there for like 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know if you remember that.
I just remember him at the board laughing.
Yeah. Then he comes back to the board, he laughs. I was expecting him to resign, but he played on.
Actually, you have like some tremendous score against him, right? It's like some very dominant.
7-1, something like
7-1,
this.
yeah, very dominant. Like I noticed that you have quite dominant scores against some players. Well, for me, it's like pretty uniform. I'd have pretty close scores. Obviously, against Magnus, not a good score, but against everyone else, like pretty close scores. But it's who else do? Also Wesley, right? You have a very good score.
Wesley and Dink to some extent.
Well,
yeah, and I have very bad records against some players. Like Magnus is one. It's not that shameful lately, because also like in Rapid and Blitz it's a bit closer, but I think it's 9-2 in Classical. I'm not sure. It's not great, but...
Yeah, nobody has a good score against him. Well, I guess maybe Fishy, but based on like a million years ago. Or Peter, also based on a million years ago. But yeah, like you tend to have some streaky results against certain players.
Yes, that's true. Like I know against Hikaru I'm done 0-5 or something.
You haven't beaten Hikaru in Classical?
No.
It's about time.
How?
Although he got so much more solid now.
Yeah.
Much harder these days.
Now it's difficult. Yeah. Speaking of, the shorter time formats, let's stay on that subject a little bit. You are a world champion, 2021. Tell us a bit about that moment. Obviously, a world championship title is a big deal.
It was really a big deal. I probably didn't expect it to be such a big deal. Also because in 2015 I had a very big opportunity already to win the title. I was like 1.5 points ahead with 4 games to go. I lost 2 games in a row and ended up half a point short. And well, that left me a very bitter taste, aftertaste. But then also after the first day of Blitz, I had lost 2 games in a row at some point, and I was like middle of the chasing pack, but nothing huge. I had these huge second days and the tiebreaks. Well, then again, like it's something a bit crazy when you think about it, that after all these years, after all these times where we've had tiebreak issues, that we still go down to this 3 players being tied, and you have a tiebreaks for 2 players only. You have Ali Reza being left out. I mean, and it was not the first occurrence of this.
I remember this.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were on the wrong side of this in the Rapid.
Yeah. I was on the wrong side in the Rapid. It was a 4-way tie. Magnus was also on the wrong side.
Yeah.
And Noterbeck and Nepo
played the tiebreak match. So, like, this tiebreak issue has been going on for 5 to 10 years. So
what's the best solution for this?
It's very hard to say. Like, especially 3 players tiebreak is not so easy. 4 players is easy. Like, the best I can think of is one of the reasons I want to go playoffs, like 4 players go to playoff. Because, well, then, of course, you still have to
incentivize being in the top 2, let's say.
No, also you have to figure out a way to determine this 3rd and 4th spot, because sometimes there will be a massive tie.
Yeah, imagine 3 people on like 9
but then,
and
but what I mean is you get one special day to figure all this out, because especially both in Rapid and Blitz, it should be possible to devise a system where, you create some knockout matches for players tied, especially.
But then you'll have like multiple like imagine there's 3 players on 9.5 in Rapid, and then there's like 8 players on 9 points.
Yeah.
Well, then 8 players on 9 points will play a knockout to determine the spot.
And then another knockout with 4 players.
It's tough, but
this,
especially in Rapid, it's tough.
Isn't there something better than this?
There should be, like, it's just pretty random, and I haven't thought the details too much at this point.
Playing, let's say, an extra day.
Extra day would be necessary for sure.
Extra day and just take the top, 12, let's say, no matter what.
But again, you're going to have this tie.
We're going to choose some tiebreaks.
What about 13 through 16?
We're going to choose some tiebreaks.
You can decide to say top 8, and if you do it very randomly, like you use good old tiebreaks, because if you finish shared 8th, it's not the same as if you finish shared 1st at the same time. Like, you're left out, but it's.
But if this 8th place who ends up winning the whole thing, then it does start to feel that way, right?
Yeah, but then again, it's the same in every sport. Like, you have the regular season, and then at the end of the day, you can be tight for some spot, and you don't get in.
I still rather do top 4 because at least that feels a bit less random than top 8, and because top 8 you're going to have some tie. People are going to be left out based on random tie breaks. Top 4, it's less likely that this will happen.
Yeah, but it's not because it's less likely that it won't happen. So
we got lost in the
we're getting a bit lost in this discussion.